welcome back
Thank
to
you.
Utah. I did just kind of want to get into just generically what's kind of stood out about this team through preseason, and it feels like the guys are. I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but it feels like the guys are very far along for preseason.
Yeah, no, I think we spent a lot of time. I think what stands out is our defensive structure, and that was a big change coming from last year. So defending more in a 3 or a 5 at times, and just their understanding, I think, has been really important. And from that, we've created a lot of great opportunities in transition, something that we weren't able to do last year. And I think a lot of that will have to do with also the profiles of the players in those positions being more athletic, being more vertical. So that's been really good. But overall, I just think it's really about the team cohesion and the collective mentality of the group has been great.
You were able to get a couple of guys back in Portugal, and now moving back in. Victor's back in with the guys. Ari's back in with the guys. Mo is finally over the line. Morgan is finally over the line with this group. Just how are kind of some of those new faces working their way?
Yeah, it's really interesting is because they didn't get a lot of reps in Portugal, so it's almost like we gotta do a sprint preseason for these guys, because what the guys did well, it was 2 weeks of work, and so now they join us, and now we have to backtrack a little bit and make sure that they're up to speed before we move forward. But I think the guys are, I think they bring a different element to our team. I think a level of physicality, a level of quality, and I think a physical presence. And so I think the culmination of all the things will be really important. And, we have a couple weeks now before the start of the season, so we just got to get them up to speed. A lot of video sessions, a lot of work on the field, and hopefully getting them game minutes, when we head to California, to make sure that, they understand what that looks like in real time with pressure.
And then I did want to ask just individually about a guy that I feel like kind of came in with almost no expectations, and it feels like he's really grabbed the scruff of preseason by the neck, and that's Wolfie. No pun intended, I guess. But just what have you made of Tyler and kind of his progression through, again, at the risk of taking a whole bunch out of some preseason trainings and a couple of...
Yeah, I think Tyler came in with a really good mindset, and he's been really flexible. He's played as a 10, he's played as a wing back. But I think the most important thing is that he's found the back of the net a couple times. And for attacking players, for our wing backs in particular, we want to get those guys finishing in the box. We want to finish with 5 guys on the highest line. And so I think it's just he came in with in good shape, with a great mentality, and I think it's paying off. So he's had a really, really good preseason.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Every preseason, every season, every roster, they're all different. What stands out this preseason on and off the pitch that maybe is a little surprising to you?
Again, I would say the togetherness of the group, and why that's unique is I think it's because there's been so much turnover, and new players coming in. Right, we had a couple players that stayed behind in Europe due to their visa stuff, but then new guys come in with this group, and it just feels like everybody's clicking, everybody's communicating, and in preseason, one of the things that I always talk about is the communication piece, because problems need to be solved in real time, and oftentimes teams adjust their shape. And so instead of waiting to halftime to fix the problems, the more we can communicate and solve problems, the better we're going to be. And what I've heard is a real vocal team. So I think you have to feel comfortable to be vocal, and that's a part of the togetherness of this group.
Rosters coming together, players coming in, players going out. Has the goal been reached where you were talking about last season, bringing in players with experience to kind of bridge the gap that kind of was an issue last season?
Yeah, no, I think Kurt and Tony and Jay have done a great job of bringing guys in that again, we won't change our mentality about development, but the way I look at it is, in order to develop players in the right way, is they have to have mentors to look at on the field, right? It can't all be from coaching, but when they see players that have played abroad, which is where a lot of the players want to end up, and they see their professionalism in the locker room, they see the way they train, and the professionalism in the way they go about the day-to-day, that has more weight, and that transforms younger players. And so I think they've done a great job with the roster. I think we have a great group, a competitive group. Our attacking group will be as dynamic as most teams in the West, I feel like, obviously with time and when they get up to speed. But we'll look at Gozo as a wing back, But if we can get Gozo as a 1v1 threat in wide areas, with Victor and Morgan in the box with our weak side wing back coming in, I think we'll be a formidable team in the attack as well. And so I think we did a really good job, and now it's about really bringing all these guys together, both physically, tactically, so that they can really contribute in the early stages of the season.
A couple more weeks till the first game of the season. How does the preseason finish up? When does that starting lineup solidify? What are the steps now?
Yeah, I think we were able to see a lot. I think those games in Portugal aren't just games that we just chalk up to luck. You get to assess the players, and not only the players as individuals, but how they work as a collective. So the left side, how the left side works together, and we've seen some changes in that. Right side, the central channel has been really important. How the two pivots work together. So I think we have a good idea. But I think you never know until the first game comes, because then there could be injuries. There could be guys that just, aren't physically able to do it. So I think all these games are really, really important to assess all those different aspects of the individual, but also as a collective and how we look in the areas that we need to continue to be dialed in to be able to compete on day one in Vancouver.
Finally, everybody's always excited for the new kids and watching them progress. What about your veterans? How have they come into camp?
Mm-hmm.
Any of them actually stood out and need some recognition?
No, that's a great question. That's great. Yeah, I would say Hoffa continues to be the same Hoffa he was from last year. Jay Glad has had a spectacular preseason, a really, really good preseason. Noel Koskin, another player that's been top in the middle midfield, and I'd say those three in particular. Diego's been getting fitter and fitter with every session. He's brought some real magic in moments, and then Gozo has been, again, Gozo, where he's just indispensable as a human being, as a player, and what he's brought to this group has been terrific. So there's been a lot of great surprises from the young players. Ruben's been great. The two young guys in the middle midfield have been great. Sergi's been fantastic. So I think everyone's playing really, really well. And I think after last year, the impetus is to really start out of the gate strong. And so that's why we've been so dialed in as to the shape of the group and what are the non-negotiables early on, so that we hit the ground running come the first game of the season.